I successfully secured $1 million deal for the company, but my wife immediately gave all the credit to her assistant Ziming. She even said, "Azai is new here, so be more understanding. Don't be so calculative." Then, during a company team building event, she even chose to share a couple's suite with ZZ. ZZ looked quite smug. I wasn't feeling well and needed Mr. Liu's assistance by my side while soaking in the hot springs. With such a grand man like Mr. Liu, he surely wouldn't be upset, right? My wife looked at him with indulgence in her eyes. I spoke in dissatisfaction. Don't pay attention to him. If he's so petty, then my feelings for him have been in vain. I replied to my parents' message. No need to invest. This company has been tainted. Liu Ruyan led ZZ in front of me and impatiently said, "Take out the room key for the couple's suite. I'm taking Azai to the hot springs." ZZ affectionately wrapped his arm around Liu Ruyan's and gave me a provocative look. Anyone who didn't know would think they were the important ones here. "Thank you, Mr. Liu. I'm sure Liu and I will enjoy it well." I stood up and handed him the room key. When he took it, he bumped into my shoulder. I lost my balance. I took a few steps back and my waist hit the edge of the table. The pain was unbearable, and I let out a pained cry. But Liu Ruyan didn't even turn around, as I was overwhelmed with stress because of this project. Finally, the contract was successfully signed. He's the company's great contributor. It's only right for President Liu to treat him well. The sales department director, John Crossing, looked at me and said, "It seems like he's warning me." But the contract was signed because I had many rounds of discussions with the partner. I even secured many benefits in my parents' company's name. The public agreed to it, and ZZ only served tea and water. How did he become the hero? Even the technical department director, Chen Shu, spoke up for ZZ. He's been exhausted these past few days. He needs rest. Lu Chen, don't disturb him. Why don't you prepare some good food for him in the evening? Seeing how the two of them were completely on ZZ's side, I felt a cold chill in my heart. It was clear that when ZZ first joined the company, they were all on my side. I wasn't in the mood to eat, so I returned to my room. As soon as I got to my room, I received a call from Liu Ruyan. "Aziz's head hurts. Go buy him some medicine. I'll give you 5 minutes. Bring it to our room." I coldly replied, "I'm not going." Liu Ruyan got angry. "If it weren't for you being jealous and wasting our time, how would Azai's headache have gotten so bad? Quickly buy the medicine and consider it an apology. Otherwise, I hung up the phone directly. I closed my eyes, lay on the bed, and prepared to sleep. Liu Ruyan and I got married as soon as we reached the legal age. We were small together, but we grew big together. She gave up a better school for me, just to stay with me. She said, "I want to be with Lu Chen for the rest of my life, never apart." We stayed this way, stuck together for years. All my firsts were with her. Our relationship was so strong. It just happened naturally. There was no confession, only a proposal. When I proposed, it was at my favorite seaside. She gave me all her assets, even her shares in the family company. She left nothing for herself. "Lu Chen, what's mine is yours. We are one as husband and wife, never to be separated." But not long after the proposal, Liu Ruyan's family collapsed. I secretly paid her tuition fees. She slowly became sensitive, growing increasingly impatient with me. She got angry easily and would yell at me. Then, she met ZZ. She began to spend most of her time with him. They ate together, traveled together. Gradually, there was no place for me by her side. We had already agreed to start a business together after graduation, but she disregarded my wishes and made ZZ her assistant. I thought that while we were working hard for the company, she would slowly recall our bond, but I never expected the current her. no longer had me in her heart. The team building event was chosen here. It was because a month ago, she casually mentioned that if the collaboration really succeeded, she would take me to the hot springs to celebrate. But now, the person she was going to the hot springs with was ZZ. Tears streamed down my cheeks and dripped onto my shirt. I took off the ring from my ring finger and threw it into the trash. When I woke up, it was already evening. Before coming here, I had already made plans. We were going to have barbecue for dinner. I walked to the barbecue area on the grass, and my colleagues had already left. Only there was a spot next to Liu Ruyan. I had no choice but to sit there. "Where's your wedding ring?" As soon as I sat down, Liu Ruyan questioned me. "I bought it," I replied. Liu Ruyan slammed her chopsticks onto the table. "Enough! I don't know when you became such an unreasonable troublemaker. I was just with Azai for one day, and you gave me the cold shoulder? He's not feeling well. What's wrong with me helping him? Why are you so vicious and heartless?" After Liu Ruyan finished speaking, Sales Director John Crossing also chimed in. "ZZ is right. Lu Chen, you're just not generous enough. You didn't even want to go buy headache medicine for ZZ. If I hadn't been thoughtful and brought it with me, as I would have been in trouble." ZZ also acted all wrong. Leaning on Liu Ruyan and rubbing his eyes, they all looked at me with disdain, as if I were some street rat. I felt cornered. Don't let Lu Chen ruin our happy atmosphere. The technical director, Chen Shu, brought over a plate of grilled meat and placed it in front of ZZ. Azai, eat quickly. Don't argue with irrelevant people. Your health is more important. Liu Ruyan also gently patted ZZ's head, comforting him. "All right. Azai doesn't want to see you. Go buy him a cocktail. He likes to drink. When you come back, pour 3 drinks as an apology." I left my seat. But I wasn't going to buy the alcohol. I was buying dinner for myself. I got a burger and sat outside the grass on the small plaza by the fountain to eat. The fountain show was beautiful, and it temporarily eased my pain a little. I received a message from Liu Ruyan, asking why I hadn't bought the alcohol yet. She forgot. I'm allergic to alcohol. I've never bought alcohol. And whenever I sat at a dinner table, alcohol was never present. All of this was because of Liu Ruyan's protection. She never let me see alcohol and told others at the table not to drink. I immediately blocked Liu Ruyan. "What are you doing? Why didn't you go buy the alcohol?" I looked up, and it was ZZ. "If you want to drink, go buy it yourself." "What? Don't have the money?" I said it, and it hit a nerve with ZZ. He grabbed his waist, pointed at me, and cursed. "Your money comes from Liu Ruyan, doesn't it? Stop pretending. If I just beckon with my finger, do you know how much Liu Ruyan would give me? Whether it's worth it, you won't remember for long. Liu Ruyan will kick you out soon." I nodded. "Yes, you'd better make her divorce me quickly." So it was about the money. I wanted to see for myself if Liu Ruyan would really leave everything behind. I wondered if ZZ would still be attached to her. Seeing that I didn't get angry, he became very irritated. He sneered. Then he suddenly reached out and grabbed me, shouting loudly, "Lu Chen, brother, don't be angry. It's my fault." Then he shoved me forcefully, and I stumbled towards the fountain pool. My head hit the edge of the pool, and the suffocating feeling almost made me feel like I was already dead. "I'm afraid of water. I can't swim." I had once wanted Liu Ruyan to teach me, but she said that as long as she was there, I would never be in danger. But at this moment, I was in danger, and she didn't care at all. It was a female colleague who saved me. She pulled me out of the pool. When I regained consciousness, I saw Liu Ruyan not far away, hugging and comforting ZZ. I made a firm decision. "Lu Chen, you really are someone who will stop at nothing. As I already apologized to you, But you still pushed him. You even pretended to jump into the pool, acting pitiful. How could I marry someone like you? I trembled as I stood up from the ground. Since it's come to this, let's get a divorce. I walked back to my room alone, dragging my feet. After taking a shower, I immediately went to bed. I woke up in the middle of the night, only to realize I had a fever. I struggled to get up and called my parents for help. I took some fever medicine. I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up again, my colleagues had already checked out and left. No one said a word to me. I called my parents, asking them to send a car to pick me up. But to my surprise, they came themselves. It was only when I fell into their embrace that I finally felt warmth. Dad, Mom, I'm going back to work at our company tomorrow, and I've decided to divorce. Can you help me find a lawyer? Mom patted my back, comforting me. We support you. A bankrupt person can be kicked out. We'll just lift a finger and she suffer anytime. I've already prepared the office for you. Home is always the most comfortable. After resting at home for a few days, I received a call from Chenshu. She said the partner was coming to the company for an inspection. She told me to come quickly. Since this was the last deal I had closed, I thought I should wrap it up well. So I went, but when I arrived, I found out they had lied to me. As soon as I entered the office, Liu Ruyan threw a divorce agreement on the table. She glared at me viciously. What do you mean by this? It turned out the lawyer had acted so quickly. The papers had already been written and sent over. Of course, it meant a divorce. Sign it! Liu Ruyan grabbed the agreement and tore it apart in a few swift motions. What will happen to the company after the divorce? After the divorce, my family will certainly pull out its investment. The company will be yours alone. I finished speaking. Liu Ruyan was silent for a while. Then she took my hand and pressed me into the chair. I know you're angry, but please let me explain first. Before she could finish, Zizi walked into the office. Brother Lu Chen, I'm here to apologize today. Suddenly, he knelt down on the ground. It's all my fault. I didn't know my limits. From now on, I'll keep my distance from Liu Zong. He had only spoken one sentence, and tears started falling. Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu, as if on cue, immediately entered with tissues in hand. Each of them helped him wipe away his tears. Lu Chen, don't be so hard on him. Zizi is in poor health. You actually made him kneel? Liu Ruyan immediately went to help him up. The three of them together helped him onto the sofa. Apologies have been made, so stop making a scene. Come back to work now. Don't make Zizi do your work. So you're really just concerned about Zizi, aren't you? I ignored her words and started packing up my things on the desk, but Zhang Crossing and Chen Chu wouldn't let me go. They snatched the things from my hands and threw them on the ground. Why don't you pick them up? I looked at the broken glass figurine on the floor, and my heart shattered with it. This souvenir was bought when the core team of the company visited a temple. At that time, Zhang Crossing and Chen Chu had just been hired by me. When we met, they had been laid off by their previous company. They had also been wronged by their previous company, which illegally took their research. I helped them retrieve the research project and found professors for them. I also helped them enter a competition and win the prize money. When they were in the temple, they sincerely made wishes, saying that when the company became successful, they would never forget the kindness I had shown them. But now, they no longer saw me as their boss. My desk was in complete disarray. My cup was broken. The floor was covered in glass shards. Zhang Crossing stepped around the shards and tried to drag me towards ZZ. Since you're leaving, then hand the keys to the company's archive room to ZZ. I couldn't resist their pull and staggered forward a few steps. One tripped and fell, landing directly on the glass shards. Pain shot through my entire body. I screamed, but stood frozen in place because of the pain. Liu Ruyan seemed to instinctively want to help me, but was stopped by ZZ. Liu Zong, Lu Chen didn't even bleed. Today, my pants were black. The glass shards had embedded themselves in my thigh, and blood was already flowing down my leg. Liu Ruyan didn't even notice my wound, and just said, "Lu Chen, you're just pretending." ZZ stood in front of Liu Ruyan. Let Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu hold me down on the ground. Liu Zong, let me teach him a lesson. Then he'll understand. After that, he slapped my face several times. I struggled hard, but I couldn't break free from the two grown men's grip. Liu Ruyan stood by, still scolding me. "Hurry up and admit your mistake, or I won't show mercy." Just as she finished speaking, the door of the office was kicked open. A group of people rushed in. It was my parents, along with bodyguards, coming to rescue me. The restraints around me were gone. I weakly leaned against my mother's arms. The bodyguards immediately restrained ZZ, Liu Ruyan, Zhang Crossing, and Chen Shu, making them kneel in a row. My father stood in front of them, angrily questioning, "Who injured my daughter's leg?" They all remained silent, too afraid to speak. I pointed at Chen Shu. "It was him. He stuck out his foot and tripped me." My father nodded, and the bodyguards immediately used the glass shards to cut a few lines on their bodies. I was helped to my feet by my mother. I took the divorce agreement from my bag and walked up to Liu Ruyan. I handed her the pen. "Sign it." My voice wasn't loud, but now it carried immense authority to Liu Ruyan. She looked at me, her eyes filled with pleading. "Do we really have to get a divorce? Our company has finally earned so much money. Are you going to give up on it?" She seemed to say it with great reluctance. "This is our hard work. Weren't we supposed to stay together? Why are you giving up first?" Angrily, I grabbed the pen holder and threw it at her head. It hit her forehead, leaving multiple bloody cuts. "You were the one who broke the agreement first. If you don't sign, I'll hit ZZ." I stretched out my hand and was about to slap ZZ's face when Liu Ruyan panicked. "Don't hit him. I'll sign. You think just because I've signed, you're in the clear? The cooperation I just signed can bring the company at least 100 million in funds. Hey, when I was negotiating the cooperation, I made sure it was only me they would deal with. They'll only work with me. I'm leaving now, so the partner will still transfer the money as promised." Once she signed, I left with my parents, leaving the bodyguards to beat them up. Their cries of pain echoed throughout the building. Under my parents' arrangement, I became the CEO of our family company. My first task after taking office was to poach the partners that had been working with Liu Ruyan's company when I was negotiating deals before. Because of the size of the company Liu Ruyan and I founded, the partners hesitated. But I used my parents' company, Fengyu Group, to secure an initial funding transfer. Now that I was the CEO of Fengyu Group, I certainly wouldn't help Liu Ruyan's company anymore. The partner agreed to work with my company, while Liu Ruyan's company faced a financial crisis. Of course, they won't be able to deliver on time. 2 months later, under my leadership, the cooperation project progressed smoothly. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan's company was sued by the partner for breaching the contract. I saw posts in the social media feed from people in Liu Ruyan's company complaining that the company was about to go bankrupt while I was making money. I couldn't help but feel a sense of happiness inside. Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu started venting like crazy on social media about Liu Ruyan. They said she only cared about fooling around with ZZ and had stopped coming to the company, leaving everything to them. When they realized the company had been sued and that there was no money to pay salaries, they announced a strike on social media. Meanwhile, ZZ naively believed he was about to marry into a wealthy family. He was posting pictures of himself flaunting luxury goods on social media. I could instantly tell the bags and jewelry were fake. This was just Liu Ruyan's tactic to save face. I waited for the day he would regret and collapse. That day, It would certainly be very interesting. I put down my phone, grabbed the documents, and went to the meeting. Fengyu Group was nothing like Liu Ruiyan's small company. There were so many daily affairs to handle. Today, we were meeting an engineer who had just returned from studying abroad. Her name was Su Yan. She was one of the top talents in the industry. We introduced her to the advantages of Fengyu Group, and after giving her a tour of the company, she finally agreed to join the new project's development. As I was seeing her off, I ran into Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu in the lobby on the first floor. Zhang Crossing blocked my path. "How's the work going at the new company?" I answered coldly, "None of your business." Chen Shu stood up from the sofa and gave me a disdainful look. "Without us, you'd find it hard to get promoted, right? You've joined a big company, but you haven't accomplished anything." Zhang Crossing laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha! Anyway, we're here to tell you that Liu Ruiyan's company is done for. Even though we're parting ways, we can't leave you out here alone. We plan to stick with you. How about that? Aren't you going to thank us? Quick, arrange an office for us. Just to be clear, the office in your company must be better than the old one, and give me an assistant too." After saying that, Chen Shu nodded in agreement. I couldn't believe how shameless they were. They were the ones who pushed me out, and now they were shamelessly asking me for a job. I was about to scold them, but suddenly Su Yan walked out from behind me. "Who are these two? Is this Su Yan the engineer?" Chen Shu immediately recognized Su Yan when he saw her. After all, Su Yan's achievements were world-renowned. And if they could work with Su Yan, they were sure to make a lot of money. Su Yan nodded. "Yes," Chen Shu excitedly said. "I'm Chen Shu. We're in the same industry. I'm also working under Lu Chen now. From now on, we'll be colleagues." Hearing his words, I immediately stepped in front of Su Yan to block them. "I've resigned. I'm no longer with your company. Also, please call me Mr. Lu." When Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu heard me distance myself, their faces instantly fell. "Lu Chen, didn't we agree to fight together? You promised we'd still work together." I didn't respond. They shot me a vicious look. "It was our mistake before. We apologize. Is that enough?" I waved my hand dismissively. "No need. Anyone who's betrayed me won't be used." Su Yan, watching from the side, spoke up in amusement. "Mr. Lu, forgive my bluntness, but people who have betrayed you shouldn't be forgiven." I, of course, wouldn't forgive. I grabbed Su Yan's hand and left, directly having the security throw them out. The new project started, and I often worked overtime. Amid the constant work challenges, Su Yan and I became good friends. She knew about my past, and in righteous anger, she vowed to be my new right-hand person. Whenever Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu came to apologize and try to join Fengyu Group, it was always her who drove them away. She saw me eating takeout every day, so she began waking up, bringing it to the early to make lunch for me. Office every noon. Under her care, I gradually forgot the unpleasant past. She also told me that work should be balanced with rest. She said she'd treat me to a big meal today. I gladly agreed. After the meal, she suggested we go shopping. We wandered around the mall and ended up in a jewelry store. As soon as we entered, she asked the staff to bring out many different watches. She insisted that I try each one on for her. Every time I wore one, she would compliment me. "Your hands are so beautiful. It looks great on you." I actually felt a long-lost shopping desire. Just as I was enjoying myself, I heard a sharp voice. "Really, anyone can shop at a high-end brand now? Do you even have money to buy anything?" It was ZZ and Liu Ryan. ZZ was wearing a lot of jewelry, showing it off proudly. "I'm here to pick an engagement ring today. Liu Ryan is going to marry me." He proudly showed off by holding Liu Ryan's arm. But Liu Ryan didn't seem too happy. She pushed Zizi's arm away and pointed at Su Yan. Who is she? You've only just divorced. And you've already found someone new? Lu Chen, I really didn't know you were this shameless. You probably got together with her even before the divorce, right? Suddenly, Liu Ryan angrily grabbed my arm. Didn't I sell you enough watches? Why aren't you wearing them? Just as I was about to shake her off, Su Yan grabbed Liu Ryan's hand. With a sudden push, she shoved Liu Ryan away and stood in front of me. We're just friends now. Upon hearing just friends, Liu Ryan seemed relieved. Since you're just friends, you shouldn't be out alone together, she said, and tried to get closer to me again, but ZZ stopped her. Liu Ryan, why are you doing this? You're my fiancé now, ZZ said. Despite that, Liu Ryan remained indifferent. He tried to pull her away. Go pay the bill. I've picked out the ring. We're heading home now. As I looked at the ring in his hand, I realized it was something Liu Ryan could never afford now. I kindly reminded him, are you sure Liu Ryan still has the money to buy you a ring? ZZ froze in place. What did you say? I laughed and told him the truth. Liu Ryan has already gone broke. She doesn't even have her company anymore. How could she afford to support you? Is that true? ZZ looked at Liu Ryan, and she didn't try to defend herself. She directly admitted it, saying, I was just playing with you. I'm not marrying you. After that, Liu Ryan received a slap from ZZ. Get lost. Who would want to marry someone like you, a poor guy? With that, she took off the ring and walked away without looking back. Are you happy now? I'm no longer involved with him. Liu Ryan sighed. Come back. I know you can't let go of him. We should remarry. I'm willing to work at your family's company. I immediately refused. You don't need to sacrifice yourself. Besides, we're divorced now. I have no intention of remarrying. I said to Su Yan, let's go. But Liu Ryan wasn't letting me go that easily. She stood still, blocking my way. I swear to you, I'll only have you from now on. She tried to hug me, but Su Yan pushed her away. Liu Ryan looked at me in disbelief. Lu Chen, she's treating me like this. Aren't you heartbroken? I shook my head calmly. She opened her mouth as if she'd seen something unimaginable. Su Yan warned her, don't block our way again, or don't blame me for being rude. At that, Liu Ryan finally stopped obstructing us. The next day, Liu Ryan appeared again. I had just finished work and found rose petals scattered all over the company's entrance, forming a heart shape surrounded by candles. Liu Ryan stood in the middle, holding flowers in her hands, and kneeled before me. The scene reminded me of when she proposed to me. She proposed during our second year of university, on my 20th birthday. At the beach, she decorated it like a garden, because I had told her I liked flowers. Back then, she used only small flowers, like baby's breath, because I had told her I didn't like bright flowers. She had kept those things in mind, like rules she would never forget. But now, she had completely forgotten. Lu Chen, I'm here to apologize. Lu Chen, I was too slow to realize. I only just understood that I've always loved you. The memories we shared are so many. They've become a part of me. Let me give up loving you. That's just impossible. Let's remarry. Please, I promised I would love you forever. Liu Ryan walked up to me, grabbing my hand, trying to hug me. I was about to push her away when Su Yan suddenly rushed out from behind, pushing Liu Ryan down to the ground. I said, who is touching my boyfriend? So it's this shameless, cheating woman. Are you even human? How can you still have the face to cling to him? Liu Ryan seemed to be shocked, her face filled with panic. What did you say? Who is your boyfriend? Su Yan took my hand, winking at me. Yes, Lu Chen has already agreed to be with me. He's long forgotten about you. I also held her hand, raising it to show Liu Ryan. Late love is worth less than grass. Liu Ryan, we are already a thing of the past. This is your last warning. Don't disturb my new life again. I've made it so clear. But she still refused to believe it. She crawled up in front of me. No! Lu Chen, how could you forget our over 20 years of feelings? She picked up the roses. She tried to shove the flowers into my hands. But Suyin snatched them away and crushed them with her foot. Lu Chen hates roses the most. This is how you've treated him for the past 20 years. Liu Ryan looked like she had been struck by lightning. She stood frozen in place. When I saw her willing to make an effort to apologize, my heart was indeed touched. I had loved her for so many years. But when I saw the roses, I was completely heartbroken. I kicked her aside. And with Su Yan leading me, the new project had made huge strides in just a few months. It was enough to shock the industry. Su Yan suggested we hold a celebration banquet. I agreed. She chose a resort villa. There was a scenic area around it. We could both eat and play. We were about to enjoy the vacation when we suddenly got a call from the assistant. He was crying on the phone. Lu Zong, it's bad. We've been slandered. The company's stock price is plummeting. What should we do? The assistant sent me a string of links. I opened the first one. It was full of malicious reviews and leaks about Fengyu Group from industry insiders online. The projects mentioned were indeed some that we had worked on in the past, but none of them had ever had any issues. This was purely slander. Someone had even posted my personal information. They claimed I was an industry spy and that every company I worked with had its secrets stolen. My phone was suddenly bombarded with countless calls. As soon as I answered, I was hit with a barrage of attacks and disgusting insults. Suyin snatched my phone and turned it off. She gently patted me, comforting me. Don't worry. If it's slander, then there's nothing to fear. We'll find evidence to fight back. I leaned on her shoulder and calmed down. My anger dissipated under her warmth. But who would go so far to target me? Could it be ZZ? I immediately asked Su Yan to contact the assistant. I told her to investigate if it was related to ZZ. We rushed back to the company. On the way, I couldn't help but grab Su Yan's phone and check. The new project was being boycotted. Our official accounts posts about the press conference were reported and taken down. The assistant informed me that the meetings we had planned with foreign companies were also cancelled. The public relations war had already caused so much damage to us. Back at the company, I received the assistant's report. It really was ZZ behind this. He couldn't stand seeing me succeed, so he bought the smear campaigns. I was about to have the PR department release evidence to clear our name. When I opened my phone, I saw that the situation had turned around. John Crossing and Chen Shu, as former employees of mine, wrote articles online, clarifying things for me and Fengyu Group. In addition to them, many former employees had spontaneously spoken up online to support us. The situation had improved a lot. Nevertheless, I still made public the evidence of ZZ's slander and defamation, and I had the lawyers prepare for action. After hearing this, John Crossing and Chen Shu both sent me messages saying they would help teach him a lesson. Liu Ryan also called me. I've said I'll protect you for life. Don't worry. This time, I won't go soft. Protect me? Did she even realize that everything I've been through was because of her? Forget about it. I put all my energy into the new project. Finally, the moment we saw the results of the new technology development, everything felt worth it. From then on, Fengyu Group's profits would rise dramatically, and I would become a qualified successor. On the day of the product launch, I could feel sweat in the palms of my hands. Su Yan gently wiped my hands with a tissue. Don't be nervous. We need to have confidence in ourselves. With her support and companionship, I gradually calmed my nerves and adjusted my mindset. She took out the lunchbox she made herself, opened it, and placed it in front of me. I knew you'd be too busy for breakfast, so I made this for you. Eat something. You'll need energy for later. I smiled. Since she came into my life, she became not only my right hand in work, but also took care of my life in every detail. Thank you. Her hand. I saw her blush as she went to pour me some water. Once everything was ready, I went to the conference venue. Just as I was about to go on stage for the presentation, the doors of the venue suddenly opened. A group of unexpected guests rushed in. Liu Ryan, John Crossing, Chen Shu, and the three of them walked in together, along with ZZ. But he was brought in bound. In an instant, I heard the sound of cameras echoing throughout the entire hall. There were so many reporters and media present. I didn't know what they were planning. Liu Ryan walked right up to me. She was holding on to ZZ, whose hands were bound. She kicked ZZ, and he immediately fell to his knees. Lu Chen, I promised I wouldn't let you suffer. Since he wronged you, he should pay the price. I'll help you get revenge. ZZ looked up at us with a face full of hatred. I was just giving him a lesson. You yourself said you didn't care about him. Now you're acting like this? Stop it! Liu Ryan, enraged, slapped ZZ across the face several times. Lu Chen, didn't he slap you before? I'll slap him back for you. John Crossing and Chen Shu also stepped forward, slapping ZZ a few more times. Afterward, they handed out a few A4 papers to the reporters. I also received one. It detailed the results we had achieved over the past few years together. It could almost be considered my resume. I didn't realize it at first, but upon reading it, I found out that I had achieved so much. It's hard to believe that I had been depressed for so long because Liu Ryan didn't value me. Shitsai looked at the paper and with a serious expression said to me, Lu Chen, you're even more capable than I imagined. Liu Ryan is really blind to have chosen ZZ over you. After Chen Shu finished sending the papers, he took the microphone and began to speak. I used to work for President Liu, but because of a mistake I made, I was fired by him. This time, we are showing our support for President Liu of our own accord. He's an extremely talented person. We hope the reporters will write something positive about him. He bowed toward me. President Liu, if you can forgive me, I would like to continue working with you in the future. Give me a chance. The people around us began discussing loudly. So it turns out I wasn't just a newcomer. I had many years of experience. Originally, the media were only here for the sake of Fengyu Group and weren't interested in my new project. Some photographers hadn't even turned on their cameras. But now, with all this commotion, it seems like the reporters are eager to cover this story. And it's not just a business insider issue for the finance industry. There were also gossip stories between me, Liu Ruyan, and ZZ. When Liu Ruyan arrived, she was carrying a bag with her. She took something out of it. Every item seemed so familiar to me. The earrings I wore when I got my ears pierced for the first time, the hairpin I used to wear, my school uniform, my awards and certificates, the souvenirs we made together. We've known each other for so long. There are so many memories we share. She took these things out. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. Lu Chen, I know you're disappointed in me, but what we have between us isn't something that can be ended so easily. All the beautiful memories we had. Have you really forgotten them? Liu Ruyan suddenly kneeled down with a loud thud. As long as you forgive me, I'll do whatever it takes. I shook my head to reject her. Then she suddenly went wild. It's all ZZ's fault. He's the one who seduced me. If I betrayed you, it was because of him. She pointed at ZZ. It was him who insisted on dragging me into the hot spring pool. If I prove that I love you more, would you forgive me? After saying this, Liu Ruyan suddenly pulled a fruit knife out of her pocket. With a swift motion, she lunged at him. Die, you! It's all your fault that you ruined my perfect life. Zizi fell into a pool of blood. Immediately, someone called for emergency help. Liu Ruyan cried like a madwoman. She really tried to kill him. This shows that she didn't truly like him. She looked at me from a distance, with Suyin standing behind me to protect me. Her eyes were filled with despair and unwillingness. Maybe she really realized that the person she loved most was me. But I was already gone. The police arrived quickly. The farce finally came to an end. During the recording of statements, I could still occasionally hear Liu Ruyan's voice. After the statements were done, I walked out easily. I saw Suyin waiting for me outside. The sky, which had been a bit dark earlier, immediately cleared up. I looked up at the sky. At this moment, I finally freed myself completely from the shadows of the past. Suyin took me home. After a while, I never saw Yu Ruyan, Zhang Crossing, or Chenshu again. A week later, the new project was launched. It was a huge success. This time, it wasn't just a small celebration party. My parents held a grand banquet to celebrate. They invited many business tycoons and partners. They said they wanted to hand over the company for me to manage completely. It was also at this banquet that I learned Su Yan's father was also a business magnate. But he was in the entertainment and cultural industry. It wasn't the same route as my family. Su Yan and her father talked with my parents for a long time. I thought they were discussing some kind of business collaboration. But unexpectedly, Su Yan and her father were actually asking my parents for a chance to pursue me. Lu Chen, I know you still don't trust me enough right now, but my love for you will be your pillar of strength. I will love you under everyone's watch, and you won't be bound. You are free. For me, you only need to follow your heart. What is our relationship? All the progress in our feelings is controlled by you. She knelt down on one knee. What she held up wasn't a ring, but a watch. That day when we were shopping, I complimented the beautiful watch. How could I not be moved? She supports me while I work. Now she's willing to hand over the control of our relationship to me. I'm willing to try to personally build my own love story. In the days that followed, Su Yan and I became like soulmates, perfectly in tune with each other. Fengyu Group, under our leadership, thrived. At an industry conference, I saw Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu for the last time. They had joined a new company, but were still just in assistant positions. It was a world of difference from when they worked under me. After all, they had been blacklisted from the industry. To even have a company willing to take them in was already a huge blessing for them. From their words, I learned that Liu Ruyan was sentenced to 5 years. She, a once promising person, ended up in such a miserable state. It was truly lamentable. Zhang Crossing and Chen Shu spent a long time telling me about Liu Ruyan's situation and their own misfortunes, but it no longer had anything to do with me. I looked at Su Yan's warm smile and felt a genuine sense of joy. This is the end of my new life.